What do you need to do to bring 2025 to a closure? And what do you need to do to prepare for 2026? 2025 was a year of endings. Is 2026 going to be a year of beginnings?
Welcome to the Angelscapes podcast, where you're encouraged to uncover and develop a direct connection with your soul's power, wisdom, and spiritual intuition that is ready to blossom. We'll explore new ideas, compelling tips, and real steps to help you learn simple spiritual practices. We're a safe place to learn more about accessing your soul's power with education and spiritual wholeness that could bring more clarity to your life. Now here's your host, a practicing medium, Akashic Records practitioner, spirit artist, coach, and mentor, Dr. Reverend Nancy Smith.
Hello, this is Angelscapes, and I'm your host, Nancy Smith. And welcome to the podcast. And I also want to invite you to jump onto my Facebook group called Soul Power Living. Tools to create a life you want and love. I'm doing a lot of cool stuff in there, and maybe it could be helpful. So with us is Mary D'Alba, our favorite astrologer, and we're going to talk about some of the things astrologically that are happening now, or kind of the big highlights of what kicked us in the butt for 2025, and what to
hmm
prepare for 2026. I don't know about you, Mary, but I'm like kind of scared of 2026.
It's going to be a better year. So we're going to be
Perfect.
okay, everyone. Yes, let's start there. It's going to be a better year. So,
I'd like to hear
yes,
that.
yes, yes. We kind of knew coming into 2025 it was going to be a little bit of a challenge. We knew we were kind of bracing for impact, I think, and we definitely had impact. I mean, no doubt. So, I think we got a lot of good things to talk about in 2026.
Okay, perfect, perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. So what do we need to leave behind in 2025? What if we closed up? What, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like sometimes you hold on to something and the closure just doesn't happen. But I think we
Right.
need to really, really let it go. But I don't know which things to let go of.
Yeah, so I think this 2025 was a year of revelation. So we did see a lot of things that, may not have sat well with us, right? And this is personally, this is career-wise, and everything else in your life, and then globally. So we saw it everywhere,
Right.
where things were challenging us to
Hmm.
see where we stood on the line. In other words, do we think certain things happening were okay? Do we think certain things happening in our life was okay? So I think this is a lot of like pulling back the curtain,
Hmm.
you know? And so now that we know things and we have to find some of us, we've had to find our own closure, which is hard to do. But I think
Yeah.
now 2026, like you mentioned, we were in a 9 year numerology wise. We're in a 1 year. So we're coming into a 1 year. So it is a lot of new beginnings. And I think it's a lot of building on what we have left over for 2025. So what you have, embrace, because we're going to take it from there and we're going to build off of that. But it
Hmm.
just has not been a year that's been easy. And so all of you out there who have made it this year because you're watching, um, and lots of other
Yeah.
reasons, but we know you've made it because you're here. We're glad you're here. I don't know anybody that has not gone through some kind of major challenge this year. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's now where we're like, all right, we're wiser. We're not as naive.
Hmm.
Things that were like, oh, that can't happen, have happened. Um, so
Totally. And then it
right.
happened again.
And then yeah,
More
it's
than
like, oh,
once.
wait, how did that?
I
Okay,
thought we
so
were done
that
with that.
I thought
No,
we were
no.
no,
It's a
here, have some
game.
more. Wait, what? So I think it was a lot of that. We had Pluto, the big discussion we had last year, Nance, and throughout this year was Pluto and Aquarius. And I think that was a lot of like rumbling of what was to come. So now that, like I said, we still have things that we can hold on to, the
Hmm.
foundations are still here. Let's build on them. So we've got some good stuff for 2026. But
Wonderful.
yeah, so everybody kind of take a deep breath of like, okay, we made it, right? We made
Yeah.
it. So we still got to get through the rest of this year, guys. But if you can make it through the holidays, which you're gonna, of course you are, then you're gonna be just fine for 2026. So yeah, so I've got some dates. That's why I'm looking over guys a little bit. So if you're wondering why
Yeah.
I'm just wanting to make sure I get everything in.
I
you
know she
know?
gave me the dates too, so I'm
Yeah.
looking at them while she's talking. So my
Yeah.
eyes are all over the place. No worries.
Yes,
No
no, we're
worries.
we're right here with you. But so a few things I wanted to talk about. We mentioned Pluto and Aquarius. So we have that going on, and that is planted in Aquarius now. Like it had a little dance back and forth between Capricorn and
Mhm.
Aquarius. So let me just speak to that real quick first, since we're already here. So Pluto and Aquarius is all about, innovation and technology and digging up things around technology, but also looking at the shadow sides of that technology and that invention, because
Okay.
Aquarius is all about invention too. So
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know about all of you, but ChatGPT is out there and all its buddies and cousins and best friends and all of them are out there. So
Yeah.
that's not going to go away. So now it's understanding how we use it responsibly, how we use it in ways that enhance our lives, not, um, taking quick shortcuts that really don't challenge our
Hmm.
brains anymore.
Hmm.
I think that's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
We have to watch that shadow side of making things too easy, you know?
Well, yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Right.
I also feel like, okay, just gonna put it out there because
Do it.
people, AI is bad. AI is bad. This is AI is gonna lose our jobs. AI is gonna give us, but I feel like AI is like an amazing tool
Hmm.
and to embrace it and learn how to use it. And
Hmm.
that's what is the key here to
Hmm.
a lot of these things that have been huzzarai.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now we can step in. What's the new relationship? Is that
Right.
showing up somewhere?
Well, I think that's what it is with Pluto. Pluto's saying, so you got to look at the ways that this could go in a weird direction. Like, what is the shadow side? What is the darker side
Yeah.
of it, right? So we got to acknowledge that. I mean, it's not like we go, oh, everything's
Yeah.
great, but
Yeah.
we can use it for different ways of thinking, for brainstorming. It can put plans and schedules together for you, things like that. But um, you don't want to use it to really just rely on constantly for your knowledge.
Oh,
It's not always
yeah.
right, you know.
No.
Um, so yeah, so that's what we use it responsibly. I think
Yeah.
that's the way to look at it. But so that's important. Plus, I'm gonna tie in this Uranus and Gemini. So we had a bit of that in July. Um, and it actually Uranus is the planet of same. It rules Aquarius, so it's invention, it's the rule breakers, it's the rebels, it's the inventors. So that moved in Gemini, which is all very logical.
Hmm.
If you all know Geminis, and I love all our signs, I love all of them. So I'll say that right at the beginning. But our Geminis, they love to talk. They love to
Oh,
talk,
yeah.
and they love to like learn things, and they love to investigate things, and they're great. So Uranus, here's the inventor in Gemini, which is the talker. And so now everybody wants to talk about these different inventions and how do we make them part of the collective? Because Uranus also likes to make it part of the collective. It's not the one, it's the
Hmm.
all.
Now, here's the thing with Gemini, though,
Hmm.
because they think this thing and then they think this thing, and they got a
Right.
couple things going on at once, and they don't match. And it's I have a
Yeah.
daughter who's a Gemini, it and
Yeah.
it's a challenge, especially for
I,
Sag. But
yeah. Well, my mom's Gemini,
okay, see,
so I know.
yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah. So some days she feels this way, and then I go and do that, and then she's like, "Yeah, but I think I want it this way now," and I'm like, you know, um, so that can be fun, but that's the thing. It's like, so let's make sure that we nail those Geminis down with the ideas so that we can say, look at this or look at this, and now come back to me and let's look at the pros and cons of both. That's a great use of Gemini energy, and not
Yeah.
necessarily people, but the energy. Like you're going to do research everything, the pros and the cons, like not just one thing. But again, so that's what's going to be pushing us into this thinking kind of
Okay.
analyzing logic kind of things that again, AI and tools like that are here to stay, guys.
Mhm.
So use them responsibly. Use them that's going to work for you. Use them in ways that you're not going to like just pass off your knowledge to them and be like, oh yeah, that's reliable. I don't have to use my own brain. That's not how AI should be,
No, no, no,
right?
no.
Great for
Yeah.
brainstorming. Terrific. I've had it figure out schedules for me. I'm like, how did you find that time? But it does. So
Oh, I
I'll
love that. Tell
yeah
me how you do that. That's like I never.
yeah yeah.
I use an AI. I did somebody helped me make a Nancy bot. All the things
Ooh
that I've written, everything that I've talked about, my theories, and my my book, and
yeah.
so it's all a Nancy bot. So when I talked,
That's wonderful.
so I go into AI and I say I'm really upset about such, and I'm not sure how to look at it, and I get. It's like I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
AI is like,
amazing.
let me
Yeah.
help you. Yes.
you said I understand that you're feeling that way. And so,
Yeah.
but the point of it is let the AI stretch you. Not that the AI is
Mm-hmm.
stretching you, stretch yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Say, here's these great ideas. What else is there? Or
Right.
or
Right.
find me another resource. Maybe you've been looking like crazy for a resource. It's like I know there's something else. There's
Oh,
another
yeah.
piece. Help me find it.
That's a
And
terrific way to use it. Like to say, I've looked at this stuff. Can you help me find some other resources? And it's like, oh, here's a whole list. You're like, oh, all right, great. So yeah,
yeah,
yeah, time
yeah,
saver. It's a great time saver.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I would definitely embrace that this year, guys. And if you're not familiar with technology, for example, like just as I'm, no paid spokesperson for anything, but like Apple, if you have an iPhone, they have classes at the Apple store. They're free. So there's lots of different places you can get, YouTube has a bunch of different things. You have to sit down and watch a video, talk to somebody,
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
sometimes
I
you can
talked
go
to
into,
somebody.
but get into knowing a little bit more about technology. I know people like I don't want to, but it's going to make things easier if you
Yeah.
have a little bit of a working knowledge of it. And it doesn't matter. Listen, my mother is 87 and still texts. So if she can do that, y'all can learn some technology.
Awesome.
All right?
87. She's
87.
87.
She's
God bless
87.
her. Oh
Yeah,
my
and
gosh.
she's on her iPhone, texting. So yeah, I
Love
mean, we've
that.
had to show her a few times, but she's got it.
Yeah.
So she can use an iPhone. You can learn some more technology. All right. And
Mhm.
I'm sure Samsung and those kind of folks have a bunch too. I don't know Android as much anymore, but anyway, and I'm sure there'll be other phone services out there. There'll be a lot of things that, from the technology standpoint, are going to show up, which is
Mhm.
great. So that's really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's one thing I think, guys, is if you're, and here's the thing I'll also mention, because sometimes I get things psychically too, right? Um, I think this is a year of being able to like really learn about something that's important to you so that you can also be an ambassador for that for other people. So if there's things that you
Mhm.
want to learn that you want to get better at, I think you can also inspire people this year. This is what I use, this is how I learned it, this is how I'm executing it. And people can really go for their dreams this year. Use AI to help you build that
Yeah.
foundation.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah.
it easier on yourself. Yeah. So that's huge. So the other, bunch of stuff we got going on, guys. The other thing I wanted to mention is, so Neptune and Saturn both moved into the sign of Aries. So let me explain what those are. So Neptune is a planet of spirituality. It's the arts, it's the poetry, it's the romance, it's all that kind of ethereal thing. They're ethereal, but also it does do with it does deal with escapism.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if you like, alcohol, if you like drugs, if you like, doing kind of some crazy things that could turn into a problem,
Hmm.
Neptune also rules that kind of stuff. So it's the escapism kind of things. So with it, oh, and Saturn, so there's Neptune. We got the spiritual, yet, you got to be careful with that a little bit because you could go overboard. So that's Neptune. Saturn is more of the taskmaster, I call him. So Saturn is Father Karma. He's the guy that creates the boundaries. So we talked about Uranus a little while ago, the rebel, the inventor, all that. Saturn's its opposite.
Hmm.
So Saturn's sort of the buzzkill, right? Saturn will say, no, we have to do it this way. Here's the structure. Here's the way to build these boundaries. And some people are like, oh, come on, Saturn. Why? But Saturn also is important because it does create structure so we can do things within that structure. So
Hmm.
Saturn's not so bad. But both of them are moving into the sign of Aries. And if you know any Aries, our Aries friends are definitely bold. They're leaders. They're
Hmm.
warriors. They move fast. They're fire signs. They want things to happen. They're about action, things like that. So moving out of the sign of Pisces, which is all like that ethereal feel, right? Oh yeah, everything's lovely. Oh, peace and all that, right? You move into Aries. Aries is like, let's get this done. So now we have these two planets that are like, we have a structure and we have ways to reach your dreams because that's part of Neptune too. We have these things. So you may get a fire lit in your heart that you haven't had in a long time because Neptune and Saturn have not been in Aries for, a long time. And in Saturn itself has not been in it for the past 30 years. So if you know anybody between 28 and 30, 31, somewhere in there, they're going through their Saturn return right now, guys. Be nice to them because they're
Oh,
going through a Saturn return,
yeah, I
which
am.
which which means Saturn's back to the place it was when they were born, and they're learning all kinds of lessons right now. So be very kind to them because they're getting pressure put down on them. Um,
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah, yeah.
change. Yep.
Well,
So be
thanks.
nice to our friends in their late
Yeah.
20s, early 30s. But yeah, so the two of them being in Aries, though, it's like so we have this dream idea and we have this structure that we can create. So I don't know how people feel about vision boards. I don't know about resolutions. I'm like, because I never really keep my resolutions, I'll be honest. But
I gave
goals,
that up. I gave
yeah,
that
I
up a
don't
long time
yeah,
ago.
I don't make resolutions.
I'm gonna kind of sort of go in this direction. Is where it goes.
Yeah. So
Maybe.
goals, right? Goals,
Goals. Yeah.
ideas, dreams for 2026. This is the time to think about them and put them down on paper because this year you're getting that support. So,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
I think things may seem, and like really, let's be honest right now, who really wants to dream right now? Like everybody's kind of like, I can't see a way, I can't see it getting better. Of course, it's going to get better, guys. Of
Yeah.
course. We all
Yeah.
have it in our hearts. The ones that really care have in their hearts for things to get better. Things will get better. So if you have a dream, this year 2026 is going to lift you in that also. So it's
I heard a couple
yeah.
of really great quotes, and I would
Hmm.
love for you to go a little deeper into what you just
Yeah,
said.
sure.
Is that we're seeing in 2025, this didn't work, that didn't work, this is falling apart, this one's yelling at this one. Nobody can make up the mind about whether you're on a and I saw a lot of systems fall apart. We all did.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. We did.
and somebody said, and I said this a few times, and then realizing that it was spirit talking through me,
Yeah.
what are you dreaming next? It's
Oh.
coming to an end, but what are you creating? Because the focus has been on the end, not
Hmm.
on what is going to happen
Right.
next.
Right.
And then the next part of the quote was, "It's up to you. What are you dreaming about?" So
Hmm.
what what are our
Yeah.
options for dreams here? But
Well, I think the dreams are going to be a little different this time just because they're going to be cautious. Like, in other words, you're going to say, I really would like to do this. Okay, but can I, like, sometimes people, when they get this idea, they run
yeah,
right out into it,
yeah,
right? And I love that because I'm one of those people. But sometimes you start running and you're like, wait, I don't have even the right sneakers on to do this. So now it's being cautious. Like, do I have the right things to make this dream happen? Do I have the education? Do I have the resources? Do I have these things? And I'm going to say this to you guys. I think sometimes we get real locked into the way we think a dream should happen, but it's a dream. It's going to happen the way it should happen. Like it's going to show up to you in front of you the way it should. And I think so. I would say create a foundation for your dream, like in your mind, but also there's going to be a lot of opportunities. And I think it's what we say yes to. I think it's what we say no to. Because sometimes guys saying no to an opportunity is really the best thing, right?
mm,
Because you could waste your time or it could be the wrong opportunity. And really also, I think it's important for people to trust their gut. So if I may digress for 1 second,
please.
and I think Nancy, you definitely can speak to this too, right? So like when someone has a idea, there's a difference between my guts telling me not to do this and the fears telling me not to do this, right? We know
Right,
that.
right.
So if your guts they're like, ooh, I can feel it in my bones. This isn't the right opportunity for whatever reason. Like I don't know why. And you almost like go, oh, I don't want to say no to it, but I kind of have to. My stomach, I can feel it in my stomach.
Yeah,
That's one side. When there's fear there that you feel come up in
yeah,
like your chest, like I don't know, like and it sort of it paralyzes you. You got to take a second look at that
yeah,
on whether or not that's your
yeah.
intuition or your fear.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. I love
yeah,
this quote I've heard a thousand times, fear, false evidence appearing
being
real.
real. Hmm.
And
Yeah, I love that too.
sometimes, yes, that's beautiful, but
It's the best.
sometimes, yeah, the fear is exactly where we need to go.
Yes.
And it's
Hmm.
counterintuitive. It's counter like, what do you mean? But
Right. Right.
if your soul is calling you to take on a challenge and you're really afraid of it,
Hmm.
there's the door.
Hmm.
I hate that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. No, it's true. And you know that I think guys, you know the difference, ladies and gentlemen out there, my friends.
yeah,
You know the difference. It's um like I said, it's that fear, like what could happen? This could happen. Well, wait, but it does seem like the right decision but my fear is getting in the way. Or your fear is like you got your hair up on the back of your neck and you're like, nope, not going near this. So it's getting to know that a little bit better in 2026
Yeah.
because
Okay. Okay.
listen, I've seen things happen, miracles happen. I know, Nancy, you have too. And you all have out there. You've had a moment where there's this like, I don't know how this is going to happen. And then this miracle comes up that you never thought of.
I love that. Yeah.
That's what this year is about. I think it's knowing that there's going to be, if
Yeah.
you have it in your bones, like this is the way it should go,
Exactly.
that's what you should follow. So that's a big thing I think for the dream kind of idea is like to say yes or to say no or to like to have some belief that it could happen. Listen, guys, if you hear some of the stories about people who have created their dreams into reality, and you read some of the books out there, like I read some of the Shark Tank folks that are out there, and listening to how they achieved their dreams and what they went through, they didn't have it easy. No one ever has it
No,
easy.
it's easy.
You see it
Yeah.
at the end when they achieve it and how it looks, but they don't. You don't get a chance to see it like usually unless you're there with them.
Well,
So
true.
it's not going to be easy. The dreams aren't going to be easy. They're not going to, anything worthwhile isn't easy, guys. It's just not. I hate to say that. I know, because I'd
I
like to just
know.
go,
I like, hey, if
right?
so the statement is, if it feels right, it's going to fall into place and it's going to be easy. And
Mm-hmm.
if it's meant to be, it's going to be easy. And I think that that's a misnomer sometimes. It's
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily going to be easy.
No,
Staying on
no.
track, keep showing up for it. I had this image in my head when I
Yeah.
was first talking about 25 was all these endings, and some of them are horrifying, and some of them, oh my
Mm.
God, please end. But but then the picking up the pieces. Did you ever have this when you've just, or maybe it's after a really bad divorce. It's like finally, it's so good that the
Mm-hmm.
divorce happened. It's so good that all this
Yeah.
came to an end. But then there's the next day and the next week and the next month where you're picking up the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is defined. Actually, nothing is defining you. Literally,
No.
you are defined by nothing, no
Mm-hmm.
thing. Because, and then you could do a couple things. You could build what you know because that was familiar, or you can
Right.
take a moment and say, what do I build now? And that takes
Yeah.
courage.
It does.
Is
It
there a
does.
planet somewhere saying, have some courage?
Well, I think this the Saturn and the Neptune are because Saturn, like I said, is father time. He's the man that is the judge. I mean, he really is, right? So um him being in Aries is saying, well, we know we have to create a foundation, but we got to keep moving.
Keep moving. Gotta
Keep
keep
moving,
moving.
right? We got to do the things that we have to
Do.
do. Like we have,
Yeah.
so Saturn and Aries is really kind of pushing that forward for people. So, um, listen, at this point, I think for a lot of us, like, what do you have to lose? I mean, you don't want to quit your job and run out of the house, like, and be like, okay, I'm done. But if I mean, if you can, great. But most people need a plan. you know, most people need a plan. We don't have all this money saved up and all this stuff to do things. So, one step at a time, but that step is sometimes it's just a
So
step forward.
you
Yeah.
gotta have a plan. Okay, so you gotta
Mhm.
have a plan. How do you make the plan?
Yeah.
Where's the plan making? Because it's
Well,
like
Saturn and Aries, but here's another little thing I want to mention to folks. So to bring in another piece of what's happening this year. So right now Jupiter is in the sign of Cancer, so it's all about your home. Expanding your home, expanding the things in your home or what you consider to be home or so there's expansion with that and there's luck around the home, right? In the At the end of June, the planet Jupiter, which is your luck, expansion, growth. Jupiter is the biggest planet. So it's all about, how big can we get it? It goes into the sign of Leo at the end of June, June 29th to be exact, of 2026. So Jupiter is going to have a fire in it that's going to be like, I want to be seen by everybody. So when you're making plans, it's going to be about how you express yourself. And so at the beginning of the year, I think there's going to be a lot of like, how do I make this plan? How do I create this plan? What am I doing? Let me research this. Let me look at that. And then once Jupiter hits Leo, there'll be, again, some people who that fire is going to catch on even more and they start executing things. So um, I think for folks out there, you don't have to be a Leo. So you don't have to worry about, do I have to be in that sign? That's not it. It's more of, when the planets are in certain signs, they affect all of us because we are all here. So, but for some of us with that Jupiter energy, it's going to pop it open for us even more.
okay, okay.
So, Saturn and Aries creates the plan. Jupiter and Leo is like, let's go. So, you got about 6 months of like sort of ramping up. and then, or 7 months really, because the end of June. And then you have Jupiter and Leo is going to be like, let's go. But, remember, Jupiter can be excess and it can be too much. So again, try to do it. You might have a trusted friend take a look at what you're doing and saying,
Check in.
mm,
Okay.
yeah, or, ooh, like I got you. And that's the other thing. I think it's just important to really be, um, like, sharing things with people that have your back. So, in other words, if you're sharing things with people you think might look, I'm just going to lay it on the line, folks. You might think someone who's like not going to be happy for you if you start reaching your dreams. They're out there. It is what it is. Then you don't share this stuff with them until they're on a need to know basis. You share stuff with your closest groups, like your closest
Yeah.
friends, people who are going to encourage you, people who are going to maybe give you a little bit of a reality check, but not in a way that's going to hurt your dream you know like
Right.
should I take $100,000 out of my house and start a store? No. Maybe you should start like making some candles and see how that goes. You know what I mean? It's like, listen, I saw a thing on Ralph Lauren the other day. He started with ties.
Yeah.
He started with
Yeah.
ties and he went into polo
Yeah.
and then it just grew. That's the same thing. Like he, worked really hard at being good at one thing and off he went. That's something that we can look at too. It may be that we're going too big and that someone has to say,
Okay.
I'm not saying you can't get there, but how about
Yeah.
we start here? You
I
know?
know. Well, so
Yeah.
I know a number of people who have lost their businesses this past year.
Yeah.
Some they had to do with tariffs, some had to do with resources not being available, and then also people were not were sp are oh my God, people are spending their money differently this year,
They are.
and
Hmm.
finding
Hmm.
how to market or how to in any event. So when you said
Yeah.
change or get a check-in with your closest friends,
Hmm.
what are and people, you've lost your business, you've lost your livelihood, you've lost a lot of things when you lose your
Hmm.
business.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
where, how do they rebuild in 26? What can they look at? You saw Jupiter and Leo, but you have to do a
Hmm.
reality check because you just,
Yeah.
you know, where could you? Because I know that, I
Well,
mean, I can think of at least 10 people.
yeah, no, I've seen a lot of things like this. Is the last time that, our last meal, I saw a lot of restaurants were closing, things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, well, again, I think this year was the year of tough lessons. And listen, anybody who lost their business, it's awful. And I'm sorry, I think everybody felt an impact. Some of us felt it more than others. And folks that
Yeah.
close is just, I mean, my heart, it just kills me. But um, I think next year is a way to do it differently. Some folks may be able to come back, and it may be in a
Okay.
smaller capacity. It may be in a capacity that, they had to take a look at the business anyway, but people are
Yeah.
spending their money differently. So I think what's really important is for folks who may want to dip their toe in the business world again or for the first time, you really got to look at what people need right now. And I think people are spending their money differently. Are they, have as much expendable cash? I think some people do, but so we have to find what necessities people need, and we have to provide that to them. Um, but yeah, I mean, people that lost their business, it's just, it's a hard thing to come back from, but it can't, I'll tell you guys, it can be done. It can be done. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was in the psychic business for a while. I left again for a while, went back into corporate. This was years ago, and then came back out and did this again and have been able to succeed. I've white knuckled it a few years, but it's been okay. So that's the same thing.
Okay.
Like
Good.
you can come back. You can, and it may be just different. It may be different,
Okay.
but similar to what you've done in the past. So reinvention, I think, is a big thing in
Okay.
2026. But reality is reality. And for folks who lost their business, my heart is crushed for you
Oh
because
my
I
gosh.
know how
Yeah.
that I've had it happen to me before and I've seen it in my family before. It's rough. Yeah, you lose a lot. And you lose an identity, you lose, but trust me when I tell you guys, you can come back and you can restart a business or do something different. You know, you learn a lot from it, but it's just a very hard lesson. It
Yeah.
sucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah. So it's again looking at that market a little bit differently right now. Because people are spending their money. There's no doubt people are spending their money differently. Hmm.
They are. They are.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we go back to
We can go back to whatever, girlfriend. We can do
Saturn?
whatever you want.
I want to talk about Saturn enters Aries February
Yes.
2026 to 2028, the
Hmm.
single most important transit of the year. And it's the end of victim consciousness. And I said, but this is a very powerful time starting in
Yeah.
February.
Yeah.
Responsibility for your own identity, which goes back to if you're going to rebuild your business and your identity, what do you what do you need to learn? What do you need to know how you
Right.
do that? Let's, because there's some really good stuff in there.
Yeah. Yeah. So Saturn and Aries, Saturn changes signs every 2 years, 2.5 years. So that's why right now we're saying it's a big deal. Saturn also is saying, are you going to put up or shut up?
Yeah.
Like, what do I believe in? What do I need discipline around? With it being in Aries again, we're looking at places where we have to fight for things,
For
right?
things. Yeah.
So we're not we there's no avoiding stuff this year, guys. So take for example, again, let's go back to people who might have unfortunately lost their business. It might be like, yeah, you finally got to go through that paperwork.
Mm.
You got to take a postmortem. You got to see what happened there. Like, was it time for you to get out? Maybe you were holding on too long. Was it just, whatever it was. Like, so it's a lot of Saturn really is it holds up the mirror to you and says, take a look. We got to really like, no, you're not avoiding me. Take a look. So that's a lot of like why
Okay.
when Aries is not necessarily gentle,
No, I don't
it's
think
not,
Aries is gentle at all.
no.
And
I mean, they're the warriors. They're the action. They are
yeah,
fire incarnate. So I mean, that's Saturn's not going to be taking any guff this year. Where was in Pisces, he was like, we can escape a little bit. We can make excuses.
yeah.
We can now. Saturn's in Aries, like, mm-mm. I have my coffee now. Saturn's like, I have my coffee now. Let's do this. Hmm.
I know.
Right,
I know.
right.
You saw my chart has this Sag, I had Jupiter, I got all this, and then Saturn sits right on top of
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. It's
But it's
like,
like,
hi. Yeah. Oh,
oh
but it's
yeah.
I
Yeah.
I remember when I went through my Saturn, my first one. I can't even believe I'm thinking about my second one, but my first one, it happens every 28 to 30 years. So I was 28 to 30. I, got divorced. Well, during that time, I moved, left where I was living. I had a best friend that I split up with. We weren't best friends anymore. I quit my job, and I was high up in my job, and I forget what the other one, but I had like five
Yeah.
things happen. But I had to rebuild. I had to learn how to live
Yeah.
life with
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
changes, these big changes. So,
Yeah.
Saturn's saying that, but on a little bit of a smaller scale than the Saturn return. It's saying, what are you willing to fight for yourself? What are you willing to do for yourself and what you believe in? There isn't this like, oh, I'll just write a check to whatever organization I believe in. If you really believe in that organization, you might be out there doing some volunteer work, talking to people about it, like that kind of thing. So it's creating a braver group of people, and if we do it right, fingers crossed, if we do it right, then it's going to be speak right. It's going to be saying the things and being helpful, and I'm trying to think of the right words, like uplifting people who really need it. So what should be happening is that we're saying, see all this crap that we've done, we need to fix it.
Okay.
So people are going to
Okay.
get activated. So all of a sudden, if you notice, all of a sudden you're like, I need to fight for this cause. I need to work in this field. I need
Hmm.
to,
Hmm.
volunteer at a place. Like
Hmm.
you don't be surprised if you feel that this year, because there's no more sort of like hanging out in the background anymore, guys. There really isn't.
Yeah. No, no,
There
no,
isn't.
no. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be every cause. There could be just one particular cause that's really important to you. Like for me, a lot of folks out there know, other than spirituality, substance use disorder is a real, dear in my heart kind of thing. And, that's where I want a lot of my work to go in addition to the spirituality, is to help people with substance use disorder. So it's educating people, things like that. That's my cause. You know what I mean?
They're
So
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, so there's a lot of other causes out there that people need help with, and I think being smart and educating yourself and being able to help other people who need the help. Because here's the thing, guys, it isn't going to be like someone necessarily comes to you and asks for help. That can't happen. But you may be at a store somewhere and someone's just talking to you,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's like a big thing of you can give someone a piece of advice, they don't even know your name.
Yeah.
So, that's some of the
Yeah.
stuff that we're going to be finding this year, guys, is we're going to be talking to people
Yeah.
just out there, our friends, or our friends might tell us something that we need to be a
Yeah.
leader. So it doesn't mean, so FYI, it doesn't mean that you're out there like holding a megaphone. If you want to do that, great, because, why not?
Yeah.
But you may be speaking to people about things that are
Yeah.
important to you. The dinner table
Yeah.
on, Thursday might be a little interesting for some of us,
I
right?
know. I know. I know.
So, Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
So something you
mhm,
said, in little notes in one of the notes, and I just pulled up
yeah.
on that, and I
Yeah, yeah.
apologize if I'm being a
No,
little goofy, but the
I love
huge
it.
well, you're talking about Neptune enters Aries, and you said it's the end of passive spirituality. Belief systems become bold, embodied, and activated, and people
Hmm.
stop waiting to be saved. Oh my
Hmm.
God, I feel like that's what it's been about in my world since
Yeah.
October. So,
Yeah.
and here it is, like, in March, we're going to sit right in the middle of it. And you just kind
Hmm.
of were mentioning some of it, but can you go a little further? I
Sure.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, because
Yeah.
a lot of
So,
complaining in 25, and this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And now,
like, yeah, I mean, I get it because listen, guys, I same like in 25, I was like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, I don't know if I
yeah.
don't know, but sometimes it's like, why is breaking news breaking into my breaking news? Like, I'd be looking at my phone, like, there's three breaking news things here. What's going on? Um,
I
what's happening, right?
know. Stop. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so Neptune came into Pisces in the year 2011, right? We're in 2025. So if you think about the past 14 years, right? What's been happening? We've had a lot of changes, obviously. So now that it's in Aries, we've got like the next 10, 12, 14 years of the spirituality being stronger and people having deeper faith. Now, I always tell you guys about the shadow side. So I'm going to tell you about the shadow side. That can be extremism, or
Hmm.
that can
Hmm.
be like,
Hmm.
my way is the best
Hmm.
way. So what we might be seeing out there is a little bit of my way is the best way. So just be careful of that.
Hmm.
But really what it's saying is that if we have faith, then we need to speak it. But faith again doesn't have to be necessarily religious faith. It's what you
Yeah,
have a strong
yeah.
belief, whatever your faith is. For
Is,
some people,
yeah,
that's going to AA meetings. For some people, that's going on a run. That's their faith. That's when they talk to, spirit, whatever it is.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
think it's it that Neptune in Aries is saying you need to be your soul incarnate. Like really, you need to be who you are.
Okay. And be who you are, your soul incarnate. I love that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
just write that down, copy that for later.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
like if you think about it, we're as we always say out there, right? You'll hear all the spiritual folks out there say like we're having a spiritual experience in a human body, right?
Yeah.
So if we really lived in a way that was, sorry, I'm going to go on a soapbox here, guys, for a second, but if
Here's the
we
box right
here's
here. Go
thank
for
you,
it.
thank you. Um, if we really lived in a way that was really kind and loving and caring to as many people as we could, the world would be a
Mm,
better place. I mean, let's be honest, right? We don't live
yeah.
in other
Yeah.
people's shoes and we
Yeah.
don't always know. And I'm guilty of it too. I look at people sometimes
Yeah.
and I'm like, what are you doing? But
Yeah.
that's not the way
Yeah.
to help heal people.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
It's not.
it's not.
It's not.
It's not.
Yeah. And I think compassion's important, but I think we go back to Saturn and Aries. What we can't happen is like someone, we may not be the people to help them. And that's the other thing we got to remember. We may not be the people to help them. So they do need some help or they do need like a direction, but sometimes we're pointing them in a direction they could find the help that they need or the grounding or whatever it is. Like we can't solve
Right.
everybody's problems, guys. And I think that's part of what Saturn in Aries is going to teach us is for us overextenders.
Yeah.
Um, it's
Are we
me. Hi.
are we Sag sisters
It's
or
me.
something?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's such. It's
Oh,
me.
it's
Hi.
me. You're doing it.
Yeah.
Oh
Um,
no.
we're going to get pulled back a little bit because it's going to come to a point for us that we're not taking care of ourselves well. And yes, the world needs a lot. I mean, and we have a lot to give, but also, I hate this phrase because when people say to me, I'm like, shut up, but it's true. You can't pour from an empty cup,
Yeah, yeah. You
right?
cannot pour from an empty cup. It's absolutely
And
true.
it's true. And sometimes people's problems are not anything that, like I said, you can point them in the right direction, you can support them through it, but you fixing it, you can't. You can't.
No,
Sometimes you just
no,
can't.
you can't.
So
Um,
it
yeah,
stinks, but you can support them, you can love them, you can point them in the right direction, but
right.
sometimes there needs to be other resources other than you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you're singing my song here
Yeah.
so much, and I know you're going
Ye-
through a lot of that where people
mhm.
you
Yeah.
seem for
Yeah.
me walking somebody to the place they have to go to.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
they want you to help you, they want you to fix it, and you can't. You're just walking them to that place that they're going to
Hmm.
go to, inevitably go to,
Right.
whatever it's going to
Right.
be. And you have no
Right.
control over it. They're in charge, and that's exhausting.
Hmm.
And that's where the overextension
Right.
comes in, I suppose. But
Right.
I wanted to ask you about this thing. I've been noticing.
Yeah.
Um, it's on the same topic is in with the spiritual, standing up for your spiritual beliefs, or doing your spirituality differently, or something like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
I in my spiritualist world
Hmm.
of churches and people
Hmm.
coming together, I see a common theme of struggle and dissipation. And
Hmm.
it's in many places. So I'm not, don't anybody think I'm talking about one particular
No.
thing. I'm not.
No.
I'm seeing it across the board. This is a huge deal for me. It's a movement. I don't know if it's happening on many spiritual planes, or if it's
Hmm.
just, some in particular ones, but
Hmm.
the Christian naturalists are going to do great. I don't I don't know if that's true, but where talk a little bit about that, standing your ground with the planets and
Hmm.
the dissipation and real, getting it real.
Yeah, so Neptune, let's go back to Neptune and Aries and Saturn and Aries, right? So Neptune and Aries again, so that's religious. So it's etheric, it's religious, it's all of those things that we can't really touch. So we know they're out there. They're the in
Yeah.
between the world stuff. So Neptune and Aries is going to bring out some of those, fanatics, right? So let's not be surprised if 2026 is a big year around religious debate in the United States. They've been kind of been dancing around it, but it probably will be. I believe in the First Amendment, and fingers are crossed that that's going to be the way it stays. But that's one of those things that Neptune and Aries is saying. You don't want to go fanatical. You don't want to go my way or the highway, or I'm a martyr, and this is, it's holding up somebody, and like being like, this is the number one. That's not for everybody. And so I
Right.
think, some of us who have different religious beliefs, we might be talking a little bit more, or some people might not be. And I understand
Okay.
that, because we
Yeah.
don't, we don't need to be a target. And I understand that. And that might not be
Yeah.
where your advocacy is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But for some people, it might be, well, my spirituality is something different. It doesn't mean it's better. It's different. So I think we're going to see a lot of that discussion. We have to be careful of
Yeah.
people who are real
Yeah. Yeah.
fanatical. Anybody who's fanatical about anything, you're just
Right.
too far
Right.
on whatever side it is. Like that's, so
Yeah.
I'm not knocking
Yeah.
anybody on a particular side. What I'm saying is there are other ideas, and there's other, um,
Yeah.
there's other
Yeah.
philosophies that make people be at peace. And I
Right.
think we need to be open to letting people, as long as they're not harming anybody. The way I look at it is, as long as you're not hurting anybody
Right. Yeah.
and it's consensual, like whatever, then you're fine. Like do what's going to make you happy. And if whatever you worship is personal between you and whatever or
Yeah.
whoever that is. But we do have to look at next year. I think there will be a lot of talk around religion and Christianity and,
Christianity and stuff, because
yeah,
I said
things like that.
there's comments you see floating around about using religion politically,
Hmm.
and where the spiritual aspect of it isn't there anymore. All of a sudden there's a political component and you've
Hmm.
lost something.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's a lot of that going on in more than
Yeah.
one religion.
Yeah.
Christianity
Well,
seems to be kind of showing its all these colors, but
right.
you think that this Uranus thing and spirituality is that's what's calling it for. We got
Well,
Aquarius going on and Pluto too.
right. Yeah. And Pluto and it's going to show, I mean, it's going to show the shadow side. Like I said, it's going to show those things we
Yeah,
don't want people to see, or we don't want to work with, or we don't want to acknowledge. Look, there's things about all of us. Like I know there's things about myself. I'm like, no, I'm perfect. I'm not. We know that. We're none of us are perfect. We wouldn't be in a body if we were. But, I don't care what anybody says, right? Even the biggest religious leaders out there, they're not perfect either. They're in the human body. So, I think it is going to be one of the, and listen, sometimes it's silent protest. It's wearing, whatever you believe in. It's, as a necklace or a bracelet or a ring, or you can have silent protest, or you can have silent support for the things that are important to you too. And I think
yeah,
that's really
yeah,
important,
yeah, yeah,
to say like, or it's understandable that it's scary out there, guys. I get it.
yeah,
But I also think that we know our relationship with the divine, whatever you consider the divine to be. And I think you keep practicing that and you'll be okay, you know? But it is gonna Neptune is gonna sort of bring that out because it's so you have Neptune who's like, oh, like, and Saturn's like, wait, what do you mean? Like, I'm gonna try to nail Neptune down. Like, so Saturn's always gonna be there, kind of neck and neck with Neptune, saying, wait, what do you mean? I can't touch that. You got to put that in something for me to understand. So you're gonna see people like pointing at religious texts and saying that I saw this in a religious text. I got this backing me up. I've got you know what I mean? So there's gonna be some people that are using
Okay.
things in good ways, like spiritual tools in good ways and not so good ways. So, you if you're at a place with someone that you can't agree to disagree, then maybe that's not the person that should be in your life. But I notice most reasonable people that practice a different religion than I do or different spirituality, we get along just fine if because we respect each other's religion and
Okay.
spirituality you
Okay.
know
Okay.
so I think that's the biggest thing, guys. Like, I have a friend that's very, very Christian. I love him to death. We don't talk religion. He may come up with a question, or I may, but
Hmm.
they're very
Yeah.
they're very
Yeah.
respectful conversations. But
Okay.
for the most part, that's not what we talk about. And I think, just remember there's all kinds of facets to people, and you don't necessarily have to
Okay.
talk religion and
Okay.
faith all the time
Right.
either.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I'm going to shift this a little
Yeah,
bit,
yeah, yeah.
and we're going to talk about Pluto and Aquarius. We already talked about that.
Yeah.
You're talking about a deepening influence, the new power structure take that is
Hmm.
taking place,
Yeah.
and we've seen an interesting power structure. I guess I'm going a little bit more
You're okay.
America and more.
Yeah.
We saw a political structure take place that a lot of people were surprised and were not expecting, and
Hmm.
um, and now we're talking about a new power structure taking shape. What do you think that's about?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I think the thing is Pluto likes to pull the dirt up on people. You know what I mean? So there's gonna be nothing that's gonna be held into the background anymore. So let me say this. Like, if you're not doing something, or you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, or you're not doing something you should be doing, um, that's gonna just pop out, guys. So, like, get your house in order. I'll say that. And I'm not like, but if there's something, I mean, I'll just say, like, for my health, like, I have to get my health in order. Like,
Right.
that's a shadow side for me. Like, I have to get my health in order. So for all of that stuff, for all of us, all that stuff that's in the shadow, we're not going to be able to push that in the background much anymore. That's number one. Number two, from a political standpoint, or from a global standpoint, United States, we'll say, I think what it's showing us is that here's all the things that, like, are like, not to make it political, but like files are getting released and things are coming out, and like we have to look at what we're going to tolerate and not tolerate.
Yeah.
Right? What are we going to tolerate from other countries? What are we tolerating within our own country, within our own leaders, all of that? And what's going to happen is we're going to see people tumble because Aquarius makes things happen shockingly quickly.
Really?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, they're the engineers. I mean, they deal with like lightning and thunder, like all that kind of stuff too. So kabam, when it comes out, it's gonna kabam. So yeah, it's a lot about getting our houses in order and getting, like, the United States needs to get some of its, house in order here. We
Oh,
got we
yeah.
got
Yeah.
problems, and I think
Yeah. Some big ones. We
yeah,
do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
it's going to be like, well, we got to get our house in order because it's going to get in our face so hard. Pluto's like, nope, look, that we're not going to be able to avoid, social service problems, like public health problems, like that those housing issues, like we're not going to be able to ignore that. And I think as laws, I'll say it this way, as laws come in that are more restrictive to help people, I don't think those are going to last because
Okay.
yeah, we're going to have problems with that if we let things like that stay.
In the judicial system, there was a lot of significant changes.
Hmm.
Who's the judge, what their philosophies,
Hmm.
what their points of view were,
Yeah.
and some of the backlash is
Hmm.
happening. What do you see Pluto addressing some of that stuff, maybe?
Well, again, so power, Pluto is power, you know, law is power. So, yeah, of course, Pluto is going to be like, if someone's overusing their power, misusing their power, people are overextending the power that they have. We have some of those folks out there doing that.
Okay.
We'll hear about things where people are, they signed off on a bonus they shouldn't have signed off on. I'm using a very like,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
innocuous example, but things like that where the power misuse is going to get brought into the light. And I think Aquarius, so again, Aquarius is a group collective power. Aquarius is about the collective, it's about everybody. So it's going to be saying, well, if your power misuse affects a bunch of us, we got a problem with that. So
Okay.
that's what I mean. So we just had a taste of it in 2025. People out there protesting and
Yeah.
speaking their mind and writing letters and all that. We're going to see even more of that next year. So activism and things like that are going to become bigger because people want their voices. We had the No Kings protests this year. I don't believe we had those before this year. Could be wrong. Don't jump down my throat, guys, if I'm wrong. But I'm saying we're hearing more about it. People are um organizing more, they're being more
Yeah.
active, and that's the stuff that we need. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Hmm.
Speaking of
Hmm.
people in general, speak people, regular people who are
Regular
not
people.
in politics or in
Hmm.
judicial systems, regular people who are
Hmm.
wanting to say, wait a minute, uh,
Right.
this is
Right.
not what I signed up for.
No.
Um,
No.
I came up,
Mm-mm.
I was thinking I was just having a fit. And I want to very
Hmm.
carefully say this is,
Hmm.
I think that um, some of the labels that are being put on
Hmm.
what's happening now, like fascism or whatever, I don't
Hmm.
really know, is just nice, polite labels. They're not that
Hmm.
nice for
Hmm.
organized crime that is on the world level.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I have been wondering if I've been, what I feel strongly about that. I don't want to get on any kind of pulpit or anything, but I've been wondering
Yeah.
about that. Like, what do you mean you blew that boat up when they were hanging on for dear life? And am I hearing the right thing? Is the news telling me the right thing? And
Mm.
I like many people are struggling. Is what am I hearing? What am I seeing?
Right. Right.
And is it being presented accurately?
Right.
And
Because
I,
sometimes it's not. Right.
yeah,
Let's be honest.
yeah,
Sometimes it's not.
yeah. So I was wondering in this case of illusion, Neptune is an illusion.
Hmm.
Are we almost be are I'd like to see 2026 be like, okay, let's clear out the fog and get
Hmm.
real. I'm wondering if we're going to have more illusion going on in 26.
Well,
Or,
that's going to be the battle. It's going to be Neptune's going to be bringing through the illusion, and Saturn's going to be saying, "Are you sure about that?" So the good thing that Saturn is in Aries at the same time for a chunk of time is going to help because it's going to keep trying to pin Neptune down. Now, it's not always going to be successful. It isn't. But it is going to try to create a framework around how are we reporting things and how are we what are our sources for this type of news, and do we continue to believe everybody who's giving us the news, because
yeah,
people have their own agendas, and certain news stations have their own agendas.
yeah,
So we got to make sure we're getting the proper information.
right, right,
Definitely. So that, and again, AI plays into that because if AI is misused, you've seen these like deep fake things that
yeah,
come out. Someone said something they didn't say. It's like, well, is that true? Like if you see something on the internet,
right,
guys,
exactly.
is that true? Like I don't, you see these things that people write and you're like, wait a minute. Like, wait a minute. I don't know if that's right. You got to take the extra step.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you got to
Well,
take the extra step.
we had the CBS thing with the 60 Minutes, and then
Mm,
they took something, a piece of it out because they thought this was,
hmm.
I don't really know all the reasons they took it out. Some of them I
Yeah.
can guess at, and some of them
Hmm.
I'm not sure if what I was hearing was accurate, but
Right.
whatever they were reporting on, somebody didn't want it public. Well, I could just,
Yeah.
so
Right.
that kind of thing feels like a little Neptunian or a little, well, actually, I don't want to put it, I don't know what planet to put that in, to be
Right.
honest, but it's like, what is this?
Well, I would say it's Saturn. Saturn's
Saturn?
definitely like trying to put some structure around stuff, but again, Saturn can sometimes be too much.
Okay.
Here's the thing I'll say about, and again, a little bit of a soapbox thing. I believe very, very strongly in the First Amendment, guys. It gives us the opportunity to speak freely. We can have this podcast. There can be comedy shows out there. People can say things that are in jest and in satire. When we start having someone with a thin skin, no matter who they are, and they're railing against satire or freedom of speech, we should be very, very worried because someone who controls a narrative is that's a problem for us guys. That really is. And
Yeah.
that's something I'm very passionate about, is that people should be able to speak freely and we should be able to get our information from wherever we want to get it from. um, keep that in mind, is to really, support some of those news organizations that you believe in, or support, read articles, even if they're just getting hits on the website, that's enough. But yeah, freedom of speech, like First Amendment, which is what freedom of speech falls under, if something happens to that guy, we got a problem. We really do have a problem, because then you can't speak freely and criticize your government. And that's part of the reason what free speech is so we are able to criticize our government.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I again, and it affects everybody, y'all. It affects everybody, because we would Facebook is the reason why we have Facebook is because of free speech. Like, it's a lot of things we have in America that a lot of other countries don't have because of it. So, it is going to be the question of, what do we allow into our space, like from a news standpoint?
Mhm. Mhm.
So allow the good stuff in, you know? And I'm not saying like just the good, like just the stuff that is accurate, that has the information that you're looking to learn, and be educated. The biggest thing I would say this
Yeah.
year, guys, is be educated.
Yeah.
Have respectful conversations with people, get into reading a little bit more, even if you listen to podcasts, whatever it is, like it has to be a little more. We have to be smarter, guys. It's the only way we're going to be better in this world, is if we get a little
The
smarter.
smarter. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
look under the hood. I always say look
Yeah.
under the hood
I
a
love
little
that.
more on that.
Hmm.
Are you serious? And
Hmm.
so I wanted to, or we've just been gabbing for forever,
I
but I
know. I
wanted to
love
make
it.
it's fun. Want to remind people, marydalba.com, Mary at
That's it.
marydalba.com. Look for her, and get your chart, your solar return chart, or just your
Hmm.
year. Uh, great stuff to
Yep.
understand how you're working in the world today. And if you see where your stuff is and then where the world stuff is, makes starts to make sense of what your where your wheels are grinding.
Right.
Also, lots of healing work with Mary, and
Hmm.
what's going on with your in your life right now?
Well, I'm currently in school right now for I'm getting an
Yeah.
associate's degree. So I got, you guys probably know, a couple of years ago I got my master's degree. So
Right.
now, because I didn't have enough school, I yeah no I went back, and I'm getting an associate's in drug and alcohol counseling, because again it's very important to me to hopefully help folks there. And yeah, so that's taken up a lot of my time, because I'm back in school again, like kind of at a college level, taking psychology and things like that again. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's great. But
You
so
still
that's
talking to people? You still taking
oh,
clients?
absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Great.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that will never change. No matter what else I add into my repertoire, I will always be here
Wonderful.
for people, because it's a way I can help,
Yes, I
you
know.
know.
I love that.
And that's yeah.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
talk enough. Yeah, and I
Right.
swear,
Right.
just give Mary a shout, guys.
Please. Yes.
Yeah, and
Happy to
she's a
help.
yeah, and that's why I love having you on because you help so many people. I mean, you're
Try.
a change maker.
Well,
And little tiny seeds in at a time. There's people
that's all.
who are really good at that, and I'd love to have them on this podcast.
Thank you.
And someday more people will hear this podcast. So like and subscribe if you're listening to this podcast.
Absolutely.
And if you're listening to this podcast on one platform, you can always shift over to YouTube, like and subscribe there, and let the
Mhm.
following grow so I can give more of these podcasts. I haven't been able to do them once a week because I just need a
Oh.
little bit more support coming
Hmm.
forward. And hopefully we'll have some really cool guests coming up this year. I've been kind of reaching out to lots of people and
Yeah.
some new and interesting ideas. We'll have Mariana, I think, a couple more times, especially want to go into a little bit more on
Hmm.
some of the things that you're studying
Yeah.
and have the spiritual track because I know that a lot of people are drugs and alcohol and addiction and it's
Yeah.
huge. It's
It
huge. It's
is.
huge. It's huge for people who are in the middle of it. It's also huge for people who are living with it or helping somebody.
Yeah, loving someone with a
Yeah.
substance use disorder is a hard place to be too, guys.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
support you in that, and I support the person
Yeah.
you love. So but it's
Absolutely.
a lot of
Yeah.
educate once you get some more education on it, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It would be a tremendous, as a matter of fact, I'm just going to book you as soon as we're off, but that'd be tremendous. So, I mean, we, especially listening to the recent news about the Ryder family and,
Yeah. Yeah.
the opinions that I've been hearing.
Hmm.
but not facts and not understanding. Do you see? I
Hmm.
would love to get less opinion and more facts,
Sure.
more
Yeah.
actionable items. So I
Hmm.
think that would be very helpful
Yeah.
in a general sort of way
Mhm.
if you're up for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing I think we all need to realize is that people don't go out to become an addict. People are trying to help, most people are trying to squash the trauma that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing to remember. It's a hard balance because you don't want to
So
enable
hard, so
somebody,
hard.
but also to understand that the person isn't trying to hurt you. They're trying to figure out a way out of their brain. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's a balance. I understand that. Would love to talk more about it,
Okay, yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. All
Hmm.
right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap this up here. You had we have to talk about the eclipses. You said
Oh
eclipses
yeah.
that shift toward Virgo, Pisces, health. I mean,
Hmm.
there are other stuff. There's other
Hmm.
stuff going on this year.
Yep.
And maybe we'll should break it down. We'll have you back in a quarter and
That
break it
I was
down
just
more.
thinking
But
of it. Yeah.
but
Hmm.
so what about these other things?
Well, so the eclipses, we always know those are game changers. Those are at your new and full moons. There's a couple next year. I'll give you the dates real quick. February 17th, we've got one, and that's in Aquarius. We've got one March 3rd. That's in Virgo. The Aquarius one is like planting the seed for the community. Virgo is definitely about wellness, how we become well, and our daily grind, our bad habits. So that's the beginning of March. Then we have one in Leo in August. So watch out, guys. That one's going to be August 12th. That's going to be a big one because Leo is large and in charge. That's how Leos are. And then in August 28th, you have the one in Pisces, and it's about letting go of old illusions. So those are big ones. Those are big ones. Um, I think it'll be interesting at the beginning of the year. I'll say that. Um, Especially with the Aquarius. But again, we're all part of the collective
Hmm.
guys. We're not just on our own. We're not
No,
just on our own.
no, no.
Yeah, no. And then you wanted to talk about the Axis stuff going on, right?
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So, um, the North Node and South Node, that's about what you either are bringing in from a past life or what you need to learn in this life. So it's going to switch from Pisces and Virgo, and that's going to go all the way through to November. So we'll definitely talk before then. And then it'll shift to Aquarius and Leo. And again, that's, about the self versus the collective. So we can talk more about that, but it is going to impact us in a way of like, what groups are we a part of and how do we represent ourselves in them? So that's
Okay.
it. Those are the nutshells for you. Yeah.
Okay. That's terrific. And
Yeah.
we definitely have to, this is a lot of information, so we're
Hmm.
going to have to just touch base again and pull some
Absolutely.
more of this stuff together. And
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, so
Yeah.
guys, I hope that there was enough information to see where you're ending this year and where you
Mhm.
need to jump in next year. There's a lot of information here.
Yeah.
And if you get
Tons.
confused, set some time
Let
up
us
with
know.
Mary. Yeah,
Hmm.
let us know.
Yeah.
And that's all for now. I don't think anybody
Okay.
can take anything.
No, I know. That's a lot of information. Watch it a
Uh,
couple of times, guys. Jot down some notes. The most important thing is to know it's going to activate parts of your chart. So everybody's chart
Yeah.
is different. Get a reading. Of course, I would love you to have it with me, but just whoever you can get a reading with. And we can talk about where it's going to highlight in your chart so you know what you're dealing
Yeah.
with, what aspects
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
personally dealing with. And that's
Exactly.
important to know
It's
too.
so true.
Mhm.
I do want to say something. The conversations that Mary and I have had in past podcasts, but this cut, it's all what you can do, all what's going to empower you. It's not
Mhm.
about the scary end of the world, you to be ascended off of the planet or apocalypse. This is
No, no, no,
not
no.
at
Mm-mm.
all what's happening in these big changing times. It's about learning, it's about growing, it's about being empowered, and about really being uncomfortable because you're going to a new place you haven't been before. And
Exactly.
that's why I bring Mary on is to put you in a place of kind of a reality check, but also in a place of empowerment for scary stuff.
Hmm.
And if you are listening to things that are scary to you, return back. Give Mary a call, check in with me, or return back to yourself. Ask your soul, what do I need to know about this?
Right.
Because your soul's not going to take you out.
Mm-mm.
Your soul's going to put you back into your life. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what this big message is. If you walk away with anything, what is going to bring me back into my life? And if I need to look up where Leo is, or if I need to look up how Neptune is playing things out, not to be
Mm-hmm.
scared of it, but to say, oh, is that what I'm doing? No, I'm not going to do that anymore, kind of
Right.
thing.
Right.
So we're here to help, and we're here to have you be clear, and we're here to have you reconnect with that higher power, with your soul, to have the best life possible.
Exactly.
Because that's what we're meant to do. This nothing. The plan is not going to blow up. People are making really stupid decisions, but they're going to have to make better decisions later, and that's what we're headed towards here.
That's it.
That's
Mm-hmm.
my soapbox.
There you go. All right.
So,
Perfect.
yeah, so that's all for now, and we'll see you in the next episode. And have a wonderful year, have a powerful year, have a
Mm-hmm.
creative year, and
Yes.
have a real year where you're your real self.
Mm-hmm.
So, and till next time,
Bye, guys.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining the Angelscapes podcast. We hope you've gained new insights and inspiration for your journey to uncover and access your soul's power. For more information and a deeper dive into finding clarity in your life, go to angelscapes.com. Remember to subscribe so you can be part of the discussion. It may just change your life. See you next time.